Welcome to On the Way to School, your 6-minute daily boost for educators and administrators. I'm Christopher S. Dennis, and today let's elevate your journey together. All right, party people, welcome to On the Way to School. We're trying something new today. We are using a video setup since I've got the week off for Thanksgiving break. We're gonna try to do some recording and see if we can expand the user experience here for you. So thank you for those who have always been listeners, and thank you for those who are going to be watching for the first time. We're going to try to get this concept together, so bear with me as we try to work through, what this concept looks like today. So, but again, hopefully you're having a wonderful morning on the way to school. As I did last week, I'm going to try to batch record a couple things just to make sure you can consume the content the way you want to. And since I won't be going to school all week, I get a chance to do some other things and get excited about it. So that's what's happening here today. So the conversation I wanted to have with you all today has to do with decisiveness. So as leaders, we don't really get the opportunity to demonstrate our decision-making process all the time. And by the time we roll out an initiative or make a decision, we've got to be decisive. And I know I've covered decision-making in a previous episode, probably episode, 8 or 9. But we've got to be decisive. We don't get the benefit or the privilege of kind of biding the time and kind of hemming and hawing, as they say. When we move, we have to be very consistent. And sometimes we just have to stand on that decision. Now, a wise leader should not be afraid to consider new information, change direction, and things of that nature. But by the time you've made the decision, it's assumed that you've already thought about a lot of that. And it's up to your team to make sure they brought you enough information for you to be able to move decisively. And one of the things that's always difficult is to realize that a member of the team or that there was more information out there and you are put in a position to make that decisive decision. And the person on the other side of that table is able to come back and say, "Did you know about this?" Not the best feeling, but those are the rare occasions. Okay. So, as a leader, you need to be able to create a process or create some steps for you to kind of have these rituals, or essentially it's just a process for you to be able to slow down your decision making so that when you make your decision, you can be decisive and the action can proceed. That means, who should I have considered before I made this decision? Is everybody in the loop? Who's going to be blindsided? Are there any sacred cows that should have been acknowledged before we got down the road this far? And, for me, that's been extremely helpful in doing that. One of the decisions that I had to make essentially had to do with, kind of absorbing a leadership model. We had so many coordinators in our team, and I had to go and lay the foundation and lay the groundwork, to kind of check in with this person and make sure that they kind of understood where I was leaning. They understood that we're probably going to absorb constrict or contract the role inward because we had too much headcount. There were too many people doing the jobs. So I just checked in with this person and asked them, what were their goals and their aspirations. And it was clear that they had some other things that they wanted to do as well. So while I don't think they particularly enjoyed the decision, before I moved broadly and made a large announcement about what was going on, I tried to make sure that I checked in with the person who was going to be directly impacted, got their understanding of it, took care of their needs, and then from there began moving with the other steps. So a decisive decision doesn't just mean that it's fast and swift. It means you have to get everything in a row and make sure you're taking care of the people. Even with personnel matters where it's not always going to be an amicable conclusion. You need to make sure you've got enough data points. Where is your policy? Who has the notes? Did you read them all? Are we sound? What's the timing of delivering the news? But be decisive. Okay. When you're taking too much time or you're wringing your hands, It doesn't help anybody. But for those of you that aren't in that decision-making position, I also want you to think about the impact that it has on the leader. So the leader takes on these kinds of decisions over and over and over throughout their day. And that compounding effect creates a lot of stress and tension. So while you may feel like they should be moving faster to be that decisive leader, it takes a lot more information. It takes a lot more energy for that to actually come to fruition and to actually be achieved. So give grace, be mindful. And especially if you need something and you want them to make a decision, it doesn't necessarily mean that the longer the decision's taking doesn't mean you're not going to get the outcome you want. It could possibly mean that they're out there gathering the information, finding a way to make it work versus quickly just letting you know, like, no, that's not going to happen. But if they can tell you, no, it's not going to happen quickly, you should appreciate that too, because that means that they've got a lay of the land and they've been thinking about other things, and you just happen to be able to get your question answered at a time where they had all the information they needed to answer it. So, again, decisiveness it's not necessarily enjoyable. It's advised, but it also takes a toll. So, well, that's all I'm going to talk to you about today. I'm going to figure out how to bounce all of this down and edit it, and get it uploaded to see just what it looks like on the other side. So if you like the video format, let me know. If you are listening, don't worry. I didn't show any visuals or any graphs or anything. But maybe I will in the future. I don't know, or do some long form stuff. But hey, hopefully you're having a great Thanksgiving break, and I look forward to seeing you on the way to school. Take care. Thanks for joining me on the way to school. Stay inspired, stay motivated, and keep making a difference. I'm Christopher S. Dennis. See you tomorrow.